Hi, I'm Jacqueline Jones. Today we will work on developing right-hand alternation with I and M using open string exercises and scales. The areas we will focus on are clarity, endurance, and speed. Clarity is the prime directive of your technical work. To gain clarity with your right hand, always listen for consistent sound, articulation, and synchronization. For good sound, always start your exercises at a slow speed, focusing on sound and touch. Balance the pressure of I and M equally and match the spot of preparation, tip joint flexion, follow through, and release. Be aware of the speed of each individual stroke. One finger may be faster than the other. For consistent articulation, time when you are placing on the string, when you're releasing, and observe how the fingers evenly exchange. Large motions will add extra time and can cause delays, so try to release your fingers directly over the string and be aware of the time at rest on the string or in the hands. For synchronization of hands to rhythm, be able to count clearly out loud and in your head as you play, and listen intently. The right hands must have clear directions to play evenly and must sync exactly with the metronome. Check in with yourself throughout these exercises and ask if you're listening actively or passively. Since the right hand produces the sound, the left hand must follow in sync with the right hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Let's talk about endurance. There are two equal areas to develop, endurance of the mind and endurance of the hands. Practicing scales by different rhythms to replicate what you find in the wild of guitar repertoire. Quarters, eighths, triplets, dotted eighths, and 16th note rhythms. The better you know your motions, the better your hands will be able to respond to commands. Let's play the right hand alone with counting the rhythm, then counting the amount of notes per string using the C major scale. Visualize the motions of both hands with and without the guitar. All fingering should be memorized. The more you visualize, the more you'll notice as you play. We will develop endurance using long bursts with right hand alone, playing 16th notes on open strings, up to 4 measures. That is the required amount of notes for a 3-octave scale with an extra measure for some cushion. Begin by playing bursts on one string, and then use a combination of strings to work on your string crossings. Maintain the same right-hand alternation using the arm to adjust your position. For good string crossings, where you go up with I or down with M, you can move the distance of a single string. However, for bad string crossings, where you go up with I or down with M, the motion will be larger. Be aware of where the thumb places and how it moves as well. In regards to breathing, many players will hold their breath when playing fast passages. A good habit would be to breathe before playing an exercise and exhale as you play your first notes. This also helps the body relax and open up as you execute fast sections. Lastly, let's discuss speed. Many performers make speed the priority of their work and often put it on a pedestal, but it is a skill that can be developed like anything else we do. Let's begin with short bursts, 20 to 40 beats per minute, higher than your full scale speed. You can go higher if playing the right hand alone. The more you push the limits, the more tension will build. Therefore, every few beats it's good to check in and release the tension in your hand, especially on the right side, which often gets ignored when playing with I and M. Start your short bursts with typical groups by the downbeat, 1 to 4 beats of 16th notes, or 5-note groups, 9, 13, and then 17. You will need to decrease the speed as you add more notes. At faster speeds, the pluck, follow-through, and release of your alternation becomes one motion that constantly cycles. For faster speeds, pay attention to being as efficient as possible with your motions. Often they'll naturally become smaller to keep up the pace. The preparation will also be getting lighter, but be sure to make consistent contact with the string as you work. Once comfortable, try atypical groups by the upbeat, groups of 2, 3, 4, 6, or 7. These break our usual patterns and help you focus on individual motions between each note. You may find it difficult to stop because of the torque buildup in your hands, so balance your right hand and continue to release after each stroke. All these exercises can be done with open strings, chromatic scales, major and minor scales, and excerpts from your pieces. Let's review an alternation checklist for scales and repertoire. Right hand fingerings. Know your starting fingers by the string and by the group. Always decide your groupings in advance and take a pause in between repeats to evaluate and refresh the focus. Constantly running the same line may be helpful when you are rehearsing a section. However, this level of specificity requires small groups to achieve a deeper level of awareness. Left hand fingerings are equally as important to right hand alternation. Often the left hand is the difficult move like a shift, and the right hand will compensate by slowing down to meet the left hand, but as a result the rhythm will be affected and your alternating will either fall behind or you will subconsciously try to catch up and play the following notes more quickly. Either one leads to an unstable alternation and will most likely result in intense hand and uneven rhythm. So know your positions, know your shifts, time your release of one to the next, know what fingers go down first on each string with what right hand finger, and which ones are last. As you develop your alternation, be patient and notice the small improvements from week to week. The key to developing good technique is consistency. So I would like to challenge you all to practice bursts and scales every day for a month and track your results. You will be amazed at what you'll be able to do. Thanks for joining me today, and happy practicing.